Great. So everybody, welcome. Welcome to this new webinar, the third one, if I well remember, in English. It's the third one of a long series of English webinar, as you saw. Today we will talk about an interesting subject that I met Natalie in person at some point, and her webinar was just super interesting, so I wanted to bring it to you. The webinar today is how to train the brain instead of the body, and we will talk about the key to lasting for a lasting transformation. We need to train the brain instead of the body, and that's what we will talk about today. And to talk about that, we have invited Natalie, that maybe you already know about, Nathalie Plamondon-Thomas, which is from Quebec, but having a lot of conference all around Canada. So maybe you have met her already. We have a little video to present her first, and then we'll join straight on the presentation. So I'm letting you with that presentation of Natalie, and we're on.
Self-talk creates stress, anxiety, burnout, procrastination, self-sabotage. We resist change. We can't adapt to the fast world we live in. We feel powerless, demotivated, frustrated, insecure. Bottom line, most people admit not living at their full potential.
What we need is a confidence expert. Enter Natalie Plamondon-Thomas here to help us get unstuck and move forward with confidence. She's an author and a confidence coach.
I'm joined here today with Natalie Plamondon-Thomas, and she is an 8-time #1 best-selling author.
The shocking fact is that research shows that 70% of our thoughts are negative.
Who wants to use their brain to make money? You can't install the cupboards over top of the existing cupboards or the island over top of the existing island.
So everybody, as you can see, today we are bringing you the best of the best for talking about neuroscience and about the key for doing lasting transformation, how to train the brain instead of the body. So let's welcome, please, Natalie. Natalie, can you go on stage so we can see your camera?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
I'm so happy to be here with you guys.
Thanks. So as we have saw in the video, you are Canada-wide, maybe even US, doing conference about neuroscience, about all of this. Can you present yourself a bit, just so people that do not know you already can have a better look?
Yes, absolutely. I have to say that self-confidence has been top priority. There's so many things that that I lived myself. I retract 15 years ago. I just celebrated the 15 years anniversary of the Think Yourself Academy, and I wanted to become a professional speaker. That's 15 years ago. Small town girl from Quebec City. My English was super bad, and then the voice in my head was telling me, "What? You want to be a professional speaker like in English? You don't even speak English. You want to write books in English? Are you kidding me? It's never going to work. You're not good enough." So that voice was in my head, talking me down all the time, and I realized that hey, it's got something to do with the way that I'm going to succeed or not. If I keep trash talking myself, like we don't talk to people like that. You don't walk around telling people, "Oh, you look really fat in these jeans. Oh, you want to start a business. It's never going to work. You're not good enough." We don't talk to people like that, but we talk to ourselves like that. It's crazy. So I realized I need to figure out how I can change that voice inside my head. And that's how I started studying neuroscience, because I was personal training. So I've been in the fitness industry for over 30 years, and personal training, fitness instructor. And I realized that my clients that were successful was not because I was giving them a better kale salad recipe or because I was showing them a better way to squat. It was because they would change their mindset. It was because they would change the way they think and all these limiting beliefs that they have about themselves. So I thought, how do I tap into that? How do I start searching for a way to change that voice inside our head? Because we're always responding to the story inside our head. And a big thing that happened to me when I had just moved from Quebec City to Toronto. I didn't know anybody. I was new, and I'm sure you have been there before, all of you listening, and Étienne included, where you're new, you're not too sure what you're doing, like you're doing something for the first time. I had been teaching in French for a long time, but I was new to teaching in English, and I was learning the Les Mills programs, and I didn't know anybody, and at this gym, I was working at Good Life back then, and I was begging my boss from not pulling my classes off the schedule because I only had like 3 participants in my classes. And so how do you go from there to becoming fitness instructor of the year for Canada less than a year later? Something happened to me, and I'll tell you. We were introducing a dance program. All the classes that I was teaching on the schedule were body lifting classes, high cardio, kickboxing. So nobody knew, but I have a dance background. Nobody knew that. So I put my hand up and I thought, yeah, I can be in the team that launches that new dance program. And I thought, okay, that's my chance to shine, because I had lots of confidence in the dance area. So picture yourself. So you're on stage, you're in front of 150 instructors from Toronto introducing a new program. I was not I was not center. I was like off to the side, and I'm doing my thing. And then I can see all the faces turning to look at me with a shocked look on their face, because nobody's got any idea that I can dance like that. So I was like strutting it, when you're so good, like, you got this, right? You've been there before, like you're totally rocking it, and all the faces are looking at you. And that performance really changed me. And I started strutting around in the gym like if I owned it, and I putting my hand up to become team leader for this, team leader for that. I was showing so much confidence that my classes started to be packed. And that's how it all started. And 3 weeks later, somebody corners me in the gym, in the change room, and says, Natalie, I have to tell you something. I'm quite impressed. We started really respecting you after what happened to you on that day, because you acted like it didn't bother you at all. You started to act like if you owned the place instead of being embarrassed. And I said, what do you mean? Being embarrassed of what? Well, it turns out that on that day on the stage, I had a wardrobe malfunction. My boob had been sticking out the whole time. That's why people were looking at me with a shocked look on their face. It's because, not for the reason that I thought, but I was responding to the story in my head. I thought it was because I was rocking it. So, of course, when she told me, I was embarrassed for a few seconds, but it was too late. I was the queen of the gym, right? So what story do we have to make in our head in order to thrive? at the end of the day, we're only responding to the story in our head. So that's why it's so important to me, because it changed my life. And it's the worst experience in my life, really. Like, I have been dancing in front of 150 people with my boobs sticking out. But hey, it could have been a nightmare. And instead, it's one of the most amazing experiences in my head. And that's why mindset is so important. So important.
And that's what we will talk about today. And we will talk about those kind of negative thoughts that we are all having and that are clearly blocking us. And I would like to know, before we're starting that, in the chat, if you have any strategy to redirect your negative thought right now. Like, if you already know some strategies for that, and it can just fuel our presentation today just to see where you are with this. So answer in the chat. Please, just for us to better understand where's the audience right now. And you are coming from the fitness industry. You are coming as a fitness instructor, so you know in which industry we are working. And there's all of the people with who we are talking, our clients. They already know what is good for them. They always know that eating a bag of chips every night, it's not good. It's not smart for achieving their goal. They already know that. But they are not necessarily doing it. If it was easy, everybody will do it. Everybody will be healthy, and we will not talk about obesity or diabetes or like other problem that we're actually have. So can you explain us what makes people to do the reverse of what they should do?
So let's talk a little bit about the brain. So a bit of brain 101. So I'll talk about the logical mind and the unconscious mind. So the logical mind can handle 5 to 9 pieces of information at a time. That's cool. You can multitask, right? So you can go grocery shopping at the same time that you're on a meeting on your phone, on your earpods, and at the same time you hold your kid from falling off the cart, and you grab a can of soup on special, and you still notice the guy in blue winking at the girl in the seafood department. You see all of that. You can do all of that. This is cool. We multitask, right? But have you ever noticed, Etienne, let's say you're driving to a new address. So it's a beautiful day, music is on, windows are down, and then as you get closer to the address, you slow down and you start looking at the numbers on the houses. Have you ever caught yourself lowering the volume on the radio? Right? Yes, in the chat. If you've ever caught yourself lowering, isn't that weird? It's because 5 to 9 pieces of information is not that great after all. You have the foot on the brake, the foot on the accelerator, the red light ahead, the kid that's about to cross the street, the lady that might cut you off, and then there's a guy in the car next to you winking at you. Gross. When you add looking at the numbers on the houses, the music becomes the one too many. 5 to 9 pieces, if not that, is not that great after all. As a matter of fact, living at that logical level, we're always just trying to catch up. We're always just exhausted and then you have your goal and you're like, okay, I'm going to build my fitness business. And you know that limiting belief, we don't make money in the fitness industry. Well, I'm going to make money and I'm going to get up super early. So you get up at 5 a.m. and you accept clients until 10 p.m. And then you still have to build your client's program in between, and you have to eat and do your own workout, but you don't have time to do your own workout. You have to post on social media. Oh, you need to start a podcast. And you also need to, there's so much stuff that you have to do that you're exhausted and you're like, is this my dream of being an entrepreneur and being in the fitness industry? And oh my gosh, when you go home at night, you're so exhausted that Netflix with a bottle of wine sounds a lot better than doing your own workout. And you feel like you're getting farther and farther away from your dream life. So living at a logical level, it's like if you're trying to go to Vancouver, but you're in an aircraft that's flying to Halifax. You're never going to get there if you stay in that aircraft. So a lot of people say, okay, Natalie, teach me, how do I get off that aircraft? Well, I'm sorry, but it would be like getting off your head. You only have one, so it's better to stay in there. That's the one you got. So instead of getting off the aircraft, I say, no, let's stay there, but talk to the pilot. What if you start talking to the pilot and say, hey, bud, do you mind turning around? That's where I want to go. Imagine how much faster it's going to go when the pilot is on board.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So
it's the concept of having a private jet everybody will love.
Exactly. So it's really important.
But how do we talk?
Exactly. That's why you need to talk to the pilot. And that's the unconscious mind. The pilot is the other part of the brain. It's the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind can process an average of 2.3 million pieces of information at a time. 5 to 9 for the logical mind, 2.3 million pieces of information for the unconscious mind. That is where the power is. So that is what we need to learn how to do, is to talk to the pilot.
But how do you talk with the pilot?
So how do you talk to the pilot?
When it's a normal, when it's a normal plane, I know where is the pilot. He's in the cockpit, that's easy. At the front of the plane, normally, never at the back, easy. But when it's my brain, isn't it myself? Then how do I'm talking with him?
Exactly. So I like to call your pilot your personal assistant. So your personal assistant, visualize that there's that little guy in your head with a notepad writing down everything that you say or think, and it makes it happen. But the problem is, Étienne, people get up in the morning, they look at themselves in the mirror and they go, I'm so tired. I'm so stressed out. I think I'm gaining weight. So then your personal assistant writes it down. Tired, stressed out, gaining weight. Okay, I got this. Tired. Oh, I'm going to keep her awake all night. She's not going to be able to sleep. She's going to be really tired in the morning. Check. Stressed out. Oh, I know. I'm going to make her delete a very important client from her calendar. Ooh, that's going to be stressful. Check. Gaining weight. Oh, easy. I can find a chocolate bar, something deep fried for her to eat today. Check. So your personal assistant is writing down everything you say or think, and it makes it happen. So it's very important to tell your personal assistant what you want, not what you don't want. And guess what? You know what's going to happen if our clients are convinced that when you lose weight, you always gain it back. Or they have on their list, I am overweight, I am lazy. They have all these limiting beliefs, I'm not good enough, on their list. Let's say that they also believe that exercise is hard, right? So all these limiting beliefs. And you know why they believe exercise is hard? We keep telling them, push through the pain, feel the burn, don't give up. Pain, burn, give up, got this. So perfect. Exercise sucks. I should hate it, right? So we keep doing that to our clients. And by the way, I'm going to give you a queuing guide, because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not supposed to say this anymore. Well, Natalie just ruined my whole business. What am I going to say now? I've got an ultimate queuing guide for you with 80 different cues that you can use with your clients to reprogram their voice properly, instead of keep telling their personal assistant that exercise sucks. Because what's going to happen if they have all that on their list? They'll start working out with you, and all of a sudden they will actually start liking it because you're pretty awesome. And then they'll use the Hexfit platform. They love this, and then they will start getting stronger. They will start enjoying it. They might even lose weight. And now the personal assistant goes in panic mode and they're like, oh, I'm not doing my job. I don't know what to do. Like she said she wanted to be overweight, and now she's losing weight. She said she wanted to hate it. Now she's liking it. And she said she wanted to be weak, and now she's getting strong. Oh, I know. I'm going to make her fall on the Bosu ball. She's going to hurt herself. She's not going to be able to train anymore. And she's going to gain the weight back. Check. I've done my job. So it's very important that your personal assistant knows what you want and not what you don't want. Because in the fitness industry, the language that we use with our clients is very, very, very important. Very important.
And we rarely see professional, at least I didn't saw a lot. And when I'm talking with fitness instructor, professional, healthcare professional, and everything, we are rarely addressing this mental aspect of the clients. Can you explain us maybe the importance, you a little bit said it, but the importance of the mindset specifically into the reaching, in order to reach their goals?
Yes, absolutely. So what happens is that we have 6 layers in our brain. Those are the 6 layers of a person's self, according to the research of Dr. Robert Dilts. So the environment, and I will show you a little graphic. So this is my DNA system, and these are the 6 layers of a person's self. Okay, so at the base we have the environment. The environment is where you are. It's the things around you and the people around you. So it's your weights, your spandex, it's the gym, it's all the things around you, your home, your car, and all the people that are surrounding you. That is your environment. Your behaviors are the things that you do. You get up, you brush your teeth, you walk, you eat, you exercise, and you eat. So exercise and nutrition, let's remember, they are behaviors, okay? Then there's the skills. The skills are behaviors that we're really good at. So in our world, in the fitness industry, exercising is not just a behavior, it's a skill, because we are very good at exercising. We do a proper squat, while the rest of the world, a squat for them is just a behavior, and we're teaching them to take that into a skill and becoming good at that. And we teach them how people normally eat. Well, we have the skill of knowing what to eat. And now we have a lot more knowledge. And the problem is that very often in the fitness industry, we stick with the first 3 layers, and that's it. We touch nutrition, exercise, and skills. There's 3 more layers. Beliefs and values, the next layers. The values are the things that are important to you. And the beliefs are the things you believe are true. Like, I am a woman, like I believe that this is true. The problem is that there's a whole bunch of limiting beliefs, like exercise is hard. Like, if I lose weight, I will always gain it back. Like, when you stop exercising, you get weak. Or a lot of people believe that if they skip 1 week, they will never go back into it. So there's all these limiting beliefs. So we need to address the problem here. Identity is who you are. It's everything that you say after I am. I am weak, they say. I am fat. I am lazy. And the problem is that they have a problem here at identity level. And if you have a problem here, I am lazy, you can't fix it with exercise and a behavior. If you have a problem here of belief and value, that if you lose weight, you will always gain it back, you can't fix that with nutrition and fitness. You have to fix the problem where it originates. So you have to fix the problem where it belongs. Same thing with if you have an identity problem over here, saying I am not good enough. You cannot fix this by designer shoes or expensive clothes or an expensive car. It's an environmental solution you try to apply to I'm not good enough. It's not going to work. You have to address the problem where it belongs. And the last layer of a person's self is purpose. So once everything is aligned and you are doing things that you're good at in an environment that supports you, with beliefs that supports you, and you do what's important to you, and you say, I love myself, I am awesome, that's when you can reach your purpose. And your purpose is normally, who else am I serving? Why am I here? So who else can benefit from the fact that I am awesome now, because everything else is aligned? So your clients in the fitness industry can benefit from the fact that you are awesome. And then we try to build all 6 layers of the brain. So we need to address the problem where it belongs. So, many times back in the days where I was not into the mindset thing, it was not super popular, I have to say. 15 years ago, when I started speaking on confidence, it was not that sexy. People would not hire me to say, oh yeah, we absolutely need for you to talk on mindset, because it was a soft skill, right? Well, people wanted hard skills. When I started presenting at CamFit Pro, I would get 10 people in my session when Surgeon Can had 200 people doing push-up, whoa, right? So, because that's what people wanted. Now, confidence and mindset is really popular. It's very sexy. Even Kevin Harrington from the Shark Tank, the show on TV in the US, invited me to write a chapter on confidence and mindset in his book. So him and Jim Britt, yes, the Jim Britt, are writing a book together it's called Cracking the Rich Code. And I have a full chapter in their book. Our book is endorsed by Tony Robbins. So highly successful people in the major leagues have understood that confidence is everything and mindset is everything. So now it is popular. It is sexy. That's the way to go. We can no longer just exercise and eat well. We need to start changing our clients' mindset and work in and not just work out. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And when I met you in a conference, you were talking about your DNA system that you have created to achieve goal and so on, what we need to work. And you have imaged it really well with a renovation analogy.
Yes, yes. So the DNA system, I juxtaposed it on the 6 layers of the brain, D and A. So D for desire, new, and actualize. So yes, the renovation analogy, let's say that you're renovating your kitchen. So the first step is you need to know what you want in your kitchen. So you'll take a folder and then you'll put in your folder different samples. So you want the samples of these cupboards, this countertop, you want this backsplash, this hardwood floor, the paint chip. So you'll put all that into that folder and that's your plan. And we do that all the time. The D for desire. What do you want? So and people do that. You do that in the fitness industry with your clients. First session, what do you want? What are your goals? And we've written SMART goals. You've made the list of all your desires. You've made a vision board, right? People are familiar with vision board. And it's very, very important that we do that. That's the first step of my system. It's the first step for a lot of self-help book out there. You cannot create a renovation without knowing what you want. So you can't. The problem is, you can not either invite people to eat in your folder. You can't entertain people in this folder. It's not a kitchen. It's a folder full of samples. So it's not a kitchen. It's not going to work. So you need to do something with that. Because if you could only do that, like people do a vision board and they say, I don't understand why it doesn't work. Vision boards don't work. Well, I know, right? Like if you could stop there and just do the vision board, everybody would be living on deserted islands, sipping martinis, driving Mercedes-Benz, like everybody's got that on their vision board. But you need to go through 2 more steps. And most people skip the middle step, which is the new you. And I'll come back to it, because what people are doing is they go to step number 3 to actualize, and they try to implement new habits in their life. They try to do new things. They try to start eating well. They try to start exercising. So they try to put the cupboards over top of the existing cupboard, the new island over top of the existing island in the kitchen. It's not going to work. You have to go to step 2 first. The new you is to gut out the old kitchen. You need to remove all the crap, remove all the stuff that is no longer useful. Remove your negative self-talk, anger, fear, hurt, sadness, guilt, trauma, negative self-talk, limiting belief. All the bad stuff has got to go. That's what I do. That's what I specialize in my one-on-one coaching and in my coaching certification that I created. I teach people how to get rid of that old stuff. We're carrying stuff with us that is no longer serving us. You need to gut out the old kitchen, the new you, before you can actualize the A of the DNA system and implement these new habits. So very often we don't take the time to get rid of all these limiting beliefs. We are simply just making a plan. This is what I want. And now you try to install the cupboards over top of the existing cupboards. And that's skipping a plan. Yeah.
Right now, it's just that you are totally changing what most of the professionals are actually doing and they have learned to do. You are saying that when a client is coming, normally they are doing a physical assessment and then they are going through a first training and then a second one and then third one. You are saying when the person arrives, you need to receive it differently. How can I, as a professional, as a fitness instructor, as a kinesiologist, as a personal trainer, as a coach, it doesn't matter. How can I help my client to reset those beliefs?
Exactly.
Brain?
So the first thing we need to do is we need to catch them. We need to catch our clients in their bad habits. So we need to pay really close attention, and it's very easy because they are really verbal. They tell you, and then if they don't tell you, their eyes roll. When you say, okay, we're going to do some burpee, then you can tell they have a limiting belief that they hate burpees. They have so then I'm going to give you a good trick. Okay. So of course let's say you're doing bicep curls with your clients. And then she said, oh my gosh, I'm going through a divorce. My life is terrible. And I have to tell you, I think I need to change job. I hate my boss. And then you're like, okay, 3 more. You don't know what to do with this. You're like, keep your back straight and keep your chin up and hang in there, buddy. You know, like you don't know what to do with this. So, of course, I do have a coaching certification. So that's one tool. So then you can learn how to deal with this. And I do highly recommend that for every client that you see 3 times a week, you want to see them once a week sitting down and doing coaching and mindset stuff, because it goes together. It would be like not stretching at the end of your exercise. Like it goes together. You must somehow figure out a way to work on their mindset. But on the spot, just like that, I'll teach you a 2-step technique. If you're not trained and you don't have all the tools. So I'll give you 2 things. I'll give you a super cool sentence that you can ask and a question that works all the time. And I'll give you a 2-step technique. So let's look at that 2-step technique. You start with hearing a limiting belief or something negative, either for yourself in your own head, or your clients just said something and they say, oh, I'm so stressed out. Here's the 2-step technique. Let's remember, your personal assistant has that on their list. Stressed out. Got it. I'm doing this. So let's talk about affirmations. Let's say you turn that into an affirmation and you say, no. Don't say that you're stressed out because your personal assistant is listening. Just say, I am calm. It's not going to work. When I work with the Think Yourself Thin program with clients that are 200 pounds overweight, I'm not going to say, okay, smile, look at yourself in the mirror, say, I am thin. Or clients that are in deep financial struggles with the Think Yourself Wealthy program, okay, put your hands on your hips and say, I am rich. Your personal assistant is like, no, we're not. What is she talking about? Oh, we must be watching a vampire movie. Vampires don't exist. I'm not writing this down. So when there's too big of a disconnect between what's on the list and the reality and what you're saying, it's not going to work. Affirmations don't work if you don't believe them. So here's a way to create your affirmation with the 2-step technique. The first thing you're going to do is you hear yourself say, oh, I'm so stressed out. You're going to say, oh, wait a minute, what did I just say? Personal assistant, don't write that down. You're going to repeat it in the past. Step number 1, repeat it in the past and say, I used to be stressed out all the time. So now your personal assistant is like, oh yeah, stressed out. I have this on my list right here. You're talking to me. No, oh, wait, why are we talking about this in the past? Are we done with this? Perfect. It's time for, now your personal assistant is listening, time for step number 2. You're going to say a progressive statement. A progressive statement starts with, I am willing to learn, or I'm in the process of, okay? So let's start over. I'm so stressed out. Wait. I used to be stressed out all the time. Now I'm willing to learn how to build a balanced life. Now I'm in the process of changing that. So now your personal assistant writes that down. We're building a balanced life now. Oh, okay, perfect, got this. Oh, we're changing that. Oh, perfect, got this. So you hear your client say, oh my gosh, I'm so lazy. You used to be lazy. Now we're in the process of changing that together. Oh, I'm so weak. You used to be weak. Now we're in the process of changing that. Oh, I hate burpee. You used to hate burpees. Now you're willing to learn how to start liking them. So you catch them constantly, whatever they say, whatever they do. When they roll their eyes, you say, okay, what was that? What was that rolling eyes about? Are you telling your personal assistant that you're hating this? Because if you're convinced that you hate this and it's awful, then in January 28th, you're going to stop coming. January 1st, you'll sign up to the gym. And on January 28th, you'll drop like 90% of the population because they're convinced that it's hard and it sucks and they hate it. So we need to start catching our clients as soon as they say something that does not serve them. This is the 2-step technique. Repeat it in the past, progressive statement. I told you also I was giving you a powerful question you can say. And this is going to get them unstuck on the spot as they're telling you, oh my gosh, my marriage is a nightmare. You're going to say, 3 more. No, that's not what you're going to say. You're going to say, what would you like instead? what would you like instead? Because when you say, what would you like instead, it shifts them into solution mode. So in my coaching certification, I have 16 pages of forms, of questions, of things that you can ask exactly how to really change their limiting belief and change them. But for now, at least use that key one. What would you like instead? Because then, and more likely they will respond with another negative thing. I would like my husband not to be anymore, or I would like, and they will say, I don't want to be stressed anymore. Well, what would you like instead of being stressed? Well, I want to feel better. Okay, now we're getting somewhere, right? So they will start talking differently about what they are discussing when you ask, what would you like instead? And people are saying, oh, I'm a really good listener. It's not a good thing to be a good listener when people are just ranting, when they're just telling, because when you live an event, when they have a fight with their spouse, or when they have bills to pay, or when they have whatever the problem happens, they shoot 1,400 negative chemicals through their bloodstream. It slows them down, cortisol and a whole bunch of stuff. When they tell you the story, their brain doesn't know it's not happening again. So it reshoots another 1,400 set of chemicals through their bloodstream. And guess who receives chemicals too? You, because you're listening to the story. Your brain doesn't know it's not happening to you. So you also shoots 1,400 negative chemicals through your bloodstream. And that's why you're so drained sometimes after being with somebody so negative. You feel drained. It's because their story pollutes you. That's why you're scared when you watch a vampire movie. You're in your living room. You're safe in your pajamas. There is no vampires in your living room. You say they don't exist, but you're scared anyway. You experience it because your brain doesn't know it's not happening to you. So that's why when you say I'm a good listener, it is not serving you. It is not serving the client. You have to interrupt them in that going downhill, and you have to chuck them up with what would you like instead? Get them into solution mode and explain to them that every time they retell the story about this dude that cut them on the highway because he was such a this and that and blah, 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 and they're still upset at this dude that was driving recklessly on the highway, an hour later, 2 hours later, 3 hours later, they're still upset and they're still reshooting chemicals every time that they tell the story again. It is not serving no one to re-say and retell a bad, negative story. What would you like instead? And I hope this helps.
We just come back really for the fitness instructor or the kinesiologist that is listening to us. So it's the same process than right now. When the client is arriving, we'll do an assessment, but we will have a better ear to more of those beliefs. And then we'll make sure that every time the client is saying something, we are intervening there, like we are saying something. We're not just letting it go.
Exactly. You have to interrupt. It's called a pattern interrupt. So you have to interrupt the negative thought by saying, wait a minute, you used to be like that. You used to think that. Now, are you willing to learn how to change that? Now we're in the process of changing this. So it's always a pattern interrupt to really interrupt the neural pathway before the dendrites touch the actual ends, because it created a synapse in their brain. That's how neural pathways are created. And these pathways, unfortunately, go to self-sabotage right now. So we need to interrupt as soon as it starts to say, wait a minute, I want to go somewhere else. And I want these two to connect now instead of those. And you have to interrupt and try to reconnect this one as often as possible, because eventually it will create a new synapse. And that's where they want to go from now on, instead of going to the self-sabotage.
And as everybody, in Hexfit and in our Hexfit trends on of our webinar, every people we're inviting, we're always asking them for sending something or giving something that will truly help you. So you, Natalie, you have provide for the people listening to us your ultimate cueing guide for fitness professionals. Can you tell us a little bit more about it? And for everybody listening to us, you normally see it on your left, bottom left, to download it. So what is it and how can they use it?
So you have in there 80 cues that are all classified in different categories. So there's just regular technical cues, they are general cues, and I'm going to touch a little bit on the Milton Erickson cues. So I call that the Ericksonian cues. So Milton Erickson is one of the forefront thinker of all the mindset, and he discovered that you could actually presuppose something as you are talking to someone, and it would predispose the client to success. And it's an interesting story. I'm not sure if I'll do it quickly. So psychiatrist is working in jails with patients that are lost cause. So serial killers, people that cannot, that other therapists have given up on, thinking they will always be bad, kind of deal, right? So he's working with this lost cause patient, and they ask him to interview him just to see if there's something to do with him. He asked him one question, and after one question, he knew that this patient could be saved. And I'll tell you what he asked. He said to the patient, "I wonder when you will start feeling better, this week or today, or at our next session next week." And then the patient said, "Well, certainly not today. More like next week for sure, but not today." So by answering the question, he accepted the fact that he would start feeling better. This is an Ericksonian way of asking a question. Just like, and you're familiar with this if you have children. You're not going to ask your kid, "Do you want to brush your teeth?" They're going to say no. Right? But if you say, "Do you want to brush your teeth now or after you put your pajamas?" If they say, "After I put my pajamas," they've accepted the fact that they will actually brush their teeth. So if you ask your clients, "I wonder when you're going to start liking burpees, today or next week?" If they answer, whatever their answer is, they've accepted unconsciously the fact that they will start liking burpees. If they don't answer, and that's how Milton Erickson knew, because the guy could have said, "I will never feel better." But he said, "Certainly not today." So because he said, "Certainly not today," that's how Milton Erickson knew that he could save the guy. But if he had said, "I will never feel better," then it's another story. Then there's other techniques. but this at least, so I've got a big section of Milton Ericksonian cues. When you reach the halfway, you will know you can finish strong. So there's a lot of different ways you could cue people in order for them to change something inside their brain as you're giving the cue. So it's very interesting. So go look at these at this resource, and then we'll be. If there's any questions, I'm very happy to have a virtual coffee with you. There's another link that you can use, thinkyourself.com/schedule. Maybe I can, I think you may already
you can
have these links.
Yeah, clearly. Exactly. You can put it in the chat if you want. Everybody, as you know already with Hexfit Trends, again, we ask every expert we're inviting to give you something that you can clearly use. Yeah. We want it to be super like on the field, like working after the webinar. But we also ask them to be present if you have more question or anything else. So Natalie is available on Facebook. You have the link that is right now on the bottom left, but is also available on Instagram. You have again the link on the bottom left, and she just put also a link for you to take an appointment, maybe if taking a coffee with her, and just to bring everything we have told to the next level, to understand better some stuff, and maybe to understand how to use it better in your specific case, with your kid or with your client, in both cases. Natalie, if anybody in the chat you have questions, feel free to ask before we end this webinar. Natalie, is there anything you would like people to leave us with? Do you have any closing message?
Well, one thing that that we need to understand is that we have a brain. They've done some research on, there's such a thing as the Olympics of the brain, of very, very smart people that can memorize a full deck of cards shuffled and know exactly the order, or 200 faces with 200 different names, and they can memorize that in 1 minute. And there's these games, right, that happen. So the people that are winning these games, they have studied their brains. And you know what they found out? Their brains is average. So that's good news for us, right? So if you have a brain, you can tap into this and you have access to the most powerful and complex structure of the universe. You got this. You are awesome. And that is my tagline, actually. That's you are awesome. That's on my that's on my business card. But you are awesome. You got this. And when anything happens to you, you open a drawer and you have all the answers inside. Of course, very often there's a whole bunch of crap that's accumulated over top of it. That's what I do. I get rid of all this stuff so then you can have access to you at your best self, because you are awesome. And please live your one life. You only have one, so live it with confidence, knowing that you are absolutely awesome.
And we're getting a question in the chat, but I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. If you are working with to change all of those negative thoughts, it will work for other habits. Like, it will work for a bunch of habits.
100%. And that's why my fitness business was redirected in everything. Think yourself successful. Think yourself a tech pro. Think yourself a marketing pro. Think yourself healthy. Think yourself thin. Yes. Think yourself successful. Think yourself a business pro. Think yourself every area of our life. We have one brain for all these areas. We can use these techniques everywhere, and it's so important that we master the personal assistant concept, always knowing that your personal assistant is listening, and we can change any habit by starting at the roots. Of course, there's a lot more to it. So Meg, you're saying, yeah, is it going to work? Well, yeah, like I work with PTSD, with Army vets, with people that have been through deep trauma, abuse. And so it's a little bit more complicated than pushing the button on the GPS to change the address of the plane. And so for the pilot to go in a different direction. Yeah. But at least with the two-step technique, you can start the process. So it is a start. So there are a lot more deeper processes to do when there's more things. But obviously it's a start. Sure. Yeah.
And I think this is why we have put the link to your website, to your Facebook, to your Instagram, everywhere for everybody. This is, as always, an introduction to a subject that you can take away into your daily job. But for sure, if you want, and I will advise it, you can move this forward by going on our website, on the website of Natalie, Think Yourself, and by taking a course or by going further in this subject that can truly help you into your daily task work with your clients. And with January that is coming soon, we all know the stat is 70% that everybody will live before the 14th of February. So take the time to go form yourself, train yourself, and Natalie is really a good resource. Thanks, Natalie, for everything. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for having been there and having been present and having wrote questions and everything. And we are coming back maybe for a next webinar, Natalie.
Thank you so much, Etienne, for inviting me.
Ciao, everybody.